Good morning. Hope everyone's Monday is off to a great kickstart. We're going to get you kick-started here in just a few minutes. After our countdown, we will share some of the big stories that have gone on over this past week or over this weekend with you, help you get started on your week, and help you to be more up to date on what's going on in our industry. Talk to you again right after the countdown. Whoop, still trying to figure this thing out. Hey, hope everyone's Monday is rocking and rolling. If you're one of my friends and family in the Houston area, welcome to more wetness, right? I hope everyone is surviving out there. Boy, I'll tell you, looks like a pretty much direct hit over with friends and family up in the Houston area, Katy, all the way up through Magnolia, and of course, where my son and his wife live up in Huntsville, getting quite a bit of it as well. But sure hope that everyone is stay safe out there, and hey, get ready for your grass to grow, right? Because you're getting plenty of water going on there. One other thing I want to mention before we get started, and that is happy birthday to my sister, my one and only awesome sister, Dawn Pickett Herring, is whatever age she is today, 29. Again, happy 29th birthday for happy annual 29th birthday to my sister. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day, sis. All right, let's jump into this thing. I am solo today on here. My awesome wife, who usually takes care of some of the technical things, is spending some time with my son over at Next Gen Benefits. They're working with Nelson Griswold this week at his boot camp, hoping to get some extra knowledge so that we can once again be better workers with you as employees, as employers, and of course as other folks in the industry. We just are always looking to get better to help you in a better way. All right, so let's get rocking on this thing. So the non-compete ban has been a lot of talk in our industry because, man, it seems like no matter what you're doing, especially if you're in any type of role where you're in management, and there's going to be some type of non-compete. I've known a number of people that have had to wait, 1 year, 2 years before they could even get back into the healthcare world or health insurance world or even the financial services world because of a non-compete that they had to sign. Well, that was going away, right? The FTC said, nope, no more non-competes. Well, not so fast. With a lot of stuff going on with even with and I'm not saying it specifically has to do with what's going on with this reversal kind of right now, or this putting the brakes on it. But there's going to be a lot of impact on the overturn of the Chevron precedent that was set as well. So we'll see what happens. But this is a federal court in Texas has approved a preliminary injunction against the FTC's non-compete ban. This was supposed to go into effect on September 4th. But what this preliminary injunction does is keeps it from going in effect on September 4th while the court considers if the FTC actually has the authority to issue this ban. So Ada Brown, who is the U.S. Judge that made this decision, she sided with Ryan LLC and U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which both argued the FTC lacks the authority to implement the rules, which they implement the rules defining, and this is the key part, defining unfair methods of competition. Basically, that's what they were using. They were saying that a non-compete is keeping you for competition. They're saying that that's unfair because it affects competition. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not necessarily a big fan of non-competes, but that's neither here nor me. That's just my personal. I understand the need of for business reasons, but what they're saying is the FTC does not have the authority to define what methods of unfair competition are. Anyway, the court actually, the interesting thing is, even though they put the brakes on it for a start on the 4th, the court actually will rule on this by August 30th, it says. So it's kind of a weird thing. But Becker's has got some documents that they have said shows that the ban will be struck down, which this kind of correlates. If they're saying, hey, this is not going to happen, so stop doing whatever you need to do, prepare for this, because we're going to overturn it anyway, even though that's going to happen by the 30th. Anyway, we'll certainly keep abreast of this that's going on. But if you were affected by this ruling, or you thought you were going to be affected by it by the 4th, or if you're a company that, kind of lives by these things and you feel like this was going to make a big difference in what you were going to have to do in the future, it may be a halt is on this at this point in time, and you're not going to have to worry about this in the future. So anyway, once again, we'll keep you updated on this. I think it's pretty interesting that there's so many lawsuits. We'll talk about another one here in a few minutes. So many lawsuits that are kind of caught in this weird purgatory like place right now. Are they going to happen? Are they not? I mean, that's part of why they have this time period, this 6 months, that once something has been approved or has been made a rule, that they finally are actually going to go into effect. It's really going to be interesting. So many of these things that are out there right now, what they look like coming up. Many of you, if you've talked to me lately, one of my big passions right now is to take a lot of the stigma and off of women's health, in particular, menopause and perimenopause. Had a great show session on this at NABIP in Chicago here a couple of weeks ago. It was very, very powerful, and I think really shined some light on some of the issues that women go through. Even helped me better to understand it. No doubt about it. It was really, really good. But I was super surprised whenever I read that Louisiana is now going to mandate that private insurance and Medicare and Medicaid, they have to provide coverage for menopause and perimenopause treatment. Now, this is a huge win for women's health. So in Louisiana, starting August 1st, Louisiana will require Medicaid, private health insurance, Medicare to cover menopause and perimenopause treatment. If you're not familiar with it, I wasn't completely familiar with all the different symptoms. And I mean, this is just a few. It's a huge number of different symptoms. They include disruption of sleep, changes in mood, problems in your sex life, brain fog, bladder issues, can also increase cholesterol and cause bone loss. These symptoms, they start cropping up in the perimenopause, and that's the period, if you don't know, it's the period before you actually get to menopause. So it precedes menopause, but it can last for some folks as long as a decade. They were actually in this particular session I was in, was talking about it lasting multiple decades for some people. And it can start as early as in your 30s for some women. So that's pretty scary stuff. One of the things that I had read about this, and in some women's cases, 40% of their life can be going through this period, which that's just terrifying, isn't it? Anyway, it really makes it difficult for some folks to function at work and in their daily lives. However, according to the Mayo Clinic, one of the most effective treatments for curbing the symptoms is hormone replacement. That medication, in this case, it talks about replacing estrogen lost in the body while a person is in menopause or perimenopause. And then, of course, progesterone is also often needed and prescribed. However, almost all of these plan options, both private and Medicaid, prior authorization is often used to deny that treatment prescribed by doctors because, quite honestly, it's too expensive, or they just decide it's unnecessary. How many other things have we heard this about, right? It's just one of those crazy things. However, the new law in Louisiana prohibits health insurance plans from requiring pre-authorization, easy for me to say, right? Step therapy or fail first policies before offering hormone replacement therapy to patients. Huge win. If this is the most effective therapy, and it's scientifically proven it's the most effective therapy, then why are you making people jump through other hoops to show that they need this? So I personally think it's a huge win. I applaud the state of Louisiana and hope that we see other states follow. In fact, it would even be better if it was at the federal level. You know what? Let me change that. It would even be better if the insurance companies would just do the right thing to begin with and stop requiring pre-authorization for something with a known helpful way of counteracting these things that are affecting so many people. That would certainly help a lot of folks get better a whole lot faster. But I think that's a pretty cool thing Louisiana's doing. And once again, I hope that we see some more of that. All right, not surprisingly, we are seeing the cost of small business health insurance absolutely soaring. This was not surprising. Being in that particular realm where we do most of our business, this is not surprising numbers at all. But I think even though you see it every day, even though you feel it happening to your clients, you see and you're looking for other options, which is what we primarily do, is look for other options for folks so that they can find affordable care and affordable access to health care. Then this is real numbers, though. This is, someone's gone out and actually done the study. We see it every day, but this is a study that shows what those numbers look like. So JP Morgan Chase did a report for small businesses, and the first one was for businesses without employees. So think about how many folks out there that don't have any employees. It's a mom and a pop, or it's just a mom or just a pop, or maybe it's a family that's working in a business, but technically they don't have any employees. The insurance premium cost for that group rose 19% from 2018 to 2023. So along with everything else, along with inflation and the cost of all the other goods that they're having to do, regardless of what business that they had, their insurance also rose 19%. But that wasn't the worst. They didn't get it as bad as some others did. So among businesses with 50 or fewer employees, so now we're saying, I don't care if it's 2 or it's 50, in that realm of 2 to 50 or 2 to 49, I suppose, monthly premiums rose 33%. 33% from 2018 to 2023. That's astronomical. That's insane that these employers are being put in a situation where they're having to come up with these extra funds, and the employees as well. This is why we see such terrible participation in these smaller groups of less than 50, because most folks simply cannot afford to be on a benefits plan if it's being offered. To kind of give you a little more correlation to that, this is another little piece of the puzzle that they put in there. For businesses with less than $600,000 in annual revenue, health insurance was 12% of their annual cost. So 12% just going to health insurance. That's not the employee's part. That is just the business's part. So 12%. However, when you got businesses that did more, so they have a whole lot more revenue at $2.4 million in revenue, the insurance was only 7% of the annual cost. Now, that doesn't mean it changed in cost, right? It just means if you make more money, the percentage you're paying is less. It's kind of a trick in the numbers there, but you just have to think about it in a very logical way. Those companies that are not doing a whole lot of revenue, it's certainly a bigger burden to them, but the cost is still going to be pretty heavy to those groups. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking out there for these options. Don't be surprised when you see these situations arise. Other thing about that is, that is what we focus on at Eagle Care, is helping those small businesses kind of keep away from those raising rates and even be able to offer something. So if you have any questions about that, that is where our expertise lies, and I can certainly lead you down the right pathway to help your businesses if you're looking for something that way. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or go out to our website at eaglecarehealth.com. Okay. Next story. We talked about this here a 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the Department of Labor's new fiduciary rule, which is strikingly similar to the one that was overturned back in 2016, they have, I'm not saying it's in trouble. I kind of hope it's in trouble, but what we have seen is that this is another lawsuit that has been filed against another federal rule that is set to take effect on the 23rd of September currently. But we've seen 2 more big industry groups. So the Financial Services Institute and the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association joined a federal lawsuit that has already been filed. It was filed back in May, okay, in the Northern District of Texas, seeking to strike down the recently finalized Department of Labor rule that they say unlawfully expands the definition of a fiduciary and jeopardizes investors' access to advice and education. Woo. So in a statement, the association said the 2024 fiduciary rule suffers the same legal defects as the 2016 rule, which was overturned because they didn't have the authority to do it then, because it exceeds the department's authority, is arbitrary and unconstitutional. Once again, the rule is strikingly similar to the same one that they put out in 2016, although they say, of course, it's not. It's very different. We'll see. The groups are arguing that the rule, while intended to strengthen protections for investors, right? They've got the investors' best thoughts in mind, just ask them, would actually end up limiting their access to certain retirement products. The trade groups are asking the court to vacate and set aside the rule and declare it in excess of the Department of Labor's authority. Once again, not surprising. Every time we see these come out, we see there's always going to be someone against it. There's another, I read a short little thing. I haven't been able to find anything to back this up, that the rule limiting compensation on Medicare, that rule has also been paused or has also been put the brakes on. But I haven't seen anything to back that up yet. I just saw a quick little email that I received saying it was happening, but I can't tell you for sure. Otherwise, I would have shared that with you today. But all of these lawsuits, what in essence is being stated in almost all of these is that the different agencies are exceeding their authority by putting these rules in place. So it'll be interesting to see how these keep going down the road. The Chevron doctrine, that's going to have an impact on some of these. There's a couple of pretty good articles out there about, don't just quit paying attention to anything right now. It doesn't overturn anything. The Chevron doctrine itself, that precedent being changed, that the fact that these organizations are going to be held accountable differently, because it's really moving the power from the executive branch to the judicial branch, saying that they have the right to look at these things. Nothing's happening right now. You just have to pay attention to what's going on. But as of right now, it's just business as usual if you're worried about something that's already in place. Now, these new things that haven't taken effect yet, such as we talked about earlier with the non-compete, and of course this that we talked about, the fiduciary rule that's coming up in September as well. Those are things that may never go into play. They may never take effect. So those you definitely want to keep abreast of and see as these lawsuits move forward, what's going to happen with them. I think it's very important to keep an ear out on everything that's going on in our industry, but lawsuits in particular right now, we are in a very, very litigious time. There's so much going on in our industry that is revolving around lawsuits that I think that you really need to stay abreast of what's going on. There's never been a time that you have had all of this stuff going on with so many lawsuits that can determine what our health plans look like in the future and even what contracts with one another can look like in the future. I hope I have brought you some insights on some things today, and you have a super blessed week. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to check out the show each week. And then, of course, every month we do our Why Does Healthcare Suck? Also, if you want to go out and check out the podcast that is released every week, you can go out to hwpowerhour.com. I talk about all different kind of stuff with all different walks of life folks over there on that podcast. So hwpowerhour.com. That is the Health and Wealth Power Hour. You can find it on all the other places where you listen to your podcast as well. Once again, happy birthday to my sister. And hey, a big shout out to David Catorno. Here he's on the mend. Great to hear that you are feeling better, my friend. You guys take care and have a blessed week. We are out of here.